there. In your written testimony, you note that in 2004, major domestic surgical mask sellers switched from making surgical masks domestically to importing them. I know you spoke a little bit about it, but could you go into more detail and explain what prompted this change?
Mask companies wanting to make more profit. So they go to countries, well, it's not just mask companies, it's people who are in the hospital industry who are competing for contracts, for supplies. And it's a bid type situation most of the time. And the way you make products cheaply is to make them in China and Mexico and other places. So that's why the U.S. mask supply left. It wasn't a coordinated effort. It was a bunch of companies coincidentally deciding to save money at the same time and destroying maybe 4,000 jobs in America and putting the U.S. mask supply under foreign control. And that's been my message since 2006, actually.
Well, it's really unbelievable because it isn't just foreign control, it's a very large degree to China control. When we look at, again, I'm chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, when we look at the geopolitical parts of the world, China is probably the biggest adversary to the United States. So not only are we leaving it in their hands, we're leaving it in the hands of an adversary. And we're sort of beholden to that country. And I cannot think of much that's more dangerous than that. So I'm sure you agree.
China controls most of the world's mask supply. China can sell a box of masks for $1 a box. Or let me say this, China sells $1 a box of masks for $1. I don't think anybody's making any profit doing that because I sell them for about $5. So their prices are so cheap that they've captured most of the world's mass market.
Does their government subsidize the Chinese government, the Beijing government?
I don't know that. I don't know. All I know is their masks cost less than the materials. If I take my labor costs totally out, I'm still nowhere near the cost of their products.
Do the Chinese masks meet our standards?
Some do, some don't.
What steps can the federal government take to incentivize more medical manufacturing of critical equipment like surgical face masks in the United States?
Well, as in a letter that I sent to President Obama, I don't think it requires money. I think it requires the government saying it is a national security problem. It requires the CDC telling America's hospitals they are too dependent on foreign-made masks and put them in legal liability. They have to protect their patients and staff. If in a public forum like this, you say this is a national security issue, then those hospitals' attorneys are probably going to get on the ball and tell their hospitals to buy American-made products. And they don't cost that much. The whole market is only a couple of $100 million. This whole problem, this is a $30 million problem, folks. Just for people trying to save pennies across the whole United States. It's not some multi-billion-dollar problem.
Would you repeat that again and lean forward into that microphone so that everybody hears it again?
I said this is a $30 million problem. It's not billions and billions of dollars. I've never asked for money. In a letter to President Obama, and I wrote President Trump as well, but in a letter to President Obama, I said that this isn't about money. This is about information. Tell America's hospitals that they are going to be in a position to not be able to protect their staff and their patients. And their attorneys, those hospital attorneys, will tell their hospital to buy American-made masks. I don't need your money. Don't need subsidies. Just tell people about the problem. And that was my problem with BARDA. Not my problem. BARDA wanted to do it. They weren't allowed to do it. This issue needed publicity. I tried to get them to talk to the Infection Control Prevention magazine, Infection Control Today, sorry. I wanted them to talk to the New York Times. Every time we had some kind of a flu bump, I wanted them to be able to talk, and they couldn't do it.
Well, thank you very much. Your testimony has certainly been very enlightening. I know the chairwoman and I were kind of looking at each other and almost in disbelief, and I certainly think that this is something that Congress has to get involved with, and sooner the better. Thank you very much for your
Can I point out something?
Sure.
You know, I watched all of this in a room a little while ago, and it seemed like everybody who was beating up on Mr. Bright, Dr. Bright, was a Republican, and everybody who was defending him was a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I voted for President Trump. And I admire Dr. Bright. I don't know what he did in all of his other activities, but I think everything I've heard and every time I've talked to him and everything he said here made a lot of sense, and I believe him.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.